Hello and welcome to the Tarot with Titania reading of the week for May 5th to the 12th, 2023. I hope you're having a beautiful beginning to the summer months if you are in the Northern Hemisphere, and if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, that you are sliding into autumn in a beautiful way. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and take 3 nice deep breaths to pull your energy into this present moment here with me now. And I invite you to see a true root coming down out of the base of your spine. With this true root going down deep, deep, deep into Mother Earth, grounding you here and now in your body, in your now time right here. Knowing that this tree root is grounding you and providing you with a conduit through which anything that no longer serves you can easily pass down into Mother Earth and become compost for your new good growth. Creator, this is your daughter Titania, and I'm here with all of your children, and we are about to do a reading for this week of May 5th to the 12th, 2023, for our personal and collective highest and greatest good. My intention is to be a clear channel for the information we most need to receive right now, and to provide this in a manner that we will easily and effortlessly hear, understand, and integrate for our well-being and the well-being of anyone whose life we touch. I call upon my higher self and the higher selves of all those listening now and in the future to be present and to be part of this exchange. I also invite an overlighting angel of communication to facilitate our gathering today and ensure that it happens in the highest and best way possible, and that we cover all that is in our personal and collective heart and mind at this time to our satisfaction in the window that we have together here today. May this information be helpful, uplifting, empowering, and help us to distinguish the best direction forward for ourselves at this time as individuals and as a collective. I'd like to invite the 4 archangels to come and hold the 4 directions around us, creating a sacred container of light, of love, of wisdom, of healing, of transformation, of peace, of beauty. I invite Raphael to hold the east, Michael to hold the south, Gabriel to hold the west, and Uriel to hold the north. Thank you for coming and for creating this sacred container of light. Wherever you are in the planet at this time, you are part of our gathering in our circle, held by these angels in good ways. We set the tone for ease, for clarity, for wisdom, for transformation, for peace, for discernment, for anything that is uppermost in our heart and minds may be gathered and held here and addressed today to our satisfaction, and anything that doesn't match these frequencies of clarity, love, and light is welcome to go now. And so with that, let's begin. All right, Creator, what is it that we most need to know this week for our personal and collective highest and greatest good? At this interesting time, we have an eclipse coming up on the 5th of May. I'm recording this a few days ahead, and it will be an eclipse in Scorpio, a lunar eclipse, which should be interesting with a full moon and all kinds of other astrological good stuff. Apparently we're Mercury retrograde, and Pluto has gone retrograde as well. I don't know the other planets. I'm not an astrologer, but I know that many astrologers have been looking forward to this time eagerly to see what would happen. So if it's feeling intense for you, it's probably because it's just the nature of what's happening on the planet at this time. So it may not be you, or it may be triggering your stuff so that you can release it. In either case, I invite you to find your peace, to find your centered, grounded place, to allow yourself to be peaceful and as comforted and comfortable and grounded as you can be at this time, because you will navigate the uncertainty and the strangeness more easily if you can come home to yourself and be at peace in your heart. And with that, what is it that we most need to know, Creator, for the coming week, for our personal and collective highest and greatest good, so that we navigate these times with ease and grace, beauty and wholeness, and that we come out stronger, healthier, clearer, and more empowered. So we're starting with the Hanged Man, Major Arcana, pulling ourselves to a new perspective. So this ability to do this is important now and into the future. We have to change our minds. We have to be able to see things differently, to reframe what is in our experience from a different perspective. That's important to our present and our future. So this is something that we know how to do. We may not be practicing it, or we may be practicing it daily. I don't know where you are in your life experience and your evolution. But what is important is that we need to reframe our lives right now. We need to be able to look at things from a new perspective, a fresh perspective, and from that resilient new space, do things differently, be different, change our interaction with life. So major arcana, new perspective is important. Present environment, this lovely card of indecision. And we see that this individual is standing very, very, very still. She has her sword out. She's ready. She's ready to take action, but doesn't know what action to take. And so rather than wasting life force, energy, resources, etc., she's being very still and going inward and allowing the download of information to come down through her crown chakra. And with that infusion of information, she will make a much better decision than if she just randomly goes charging off in all directions. So in our present, it's very important for us, if we're not sure what to do, to be calm, to be peaceful, to be still, to be gathered and centered, to come home to ourselves and not waste our energy by worrying or fretting or trying to figure out what to do, or even charging off in a particular direction just to do something. It's important for us to gather our energy and be to hold the space. It's not time to take that action yet. It's not time to do what it is that is there to be done yet, until we have that clear direction or clear, peaceful, centered space within ourselves. So this in our present, we have to pull ourselves to a new position, and until we have the clear yes, it's not time to do anything yet. Future. For this week, we have the card of courage, the Seven of Wands. We have this individual who's standing with their back against a wall. They don't have their shield up. They don't have their sword up. So they're not fighting. They're not feeling like they have to defend themselves. They're simply standing in their courage. And in here, we have a rose. So the individual is standing on the rose, which symbolizes love. So from a place of love, having the courage to stand our ground, having the courage to be who we are, having the courage to stand solid and firmly within ourselves, within our knowledge of who we are, regardless of whatever adversity is facing us. We have to be congruent. We have to be aligned within ourselves. Otherwise, we are not in our place of power. We are not in our ability to be of service to life. Our ability to be of service to life comes with us standing within ourselves from a grounded and centered and courageous space. Being courageous enough to be ourselves, who we really, really are. So, interesting. New perspectives, pulling ourselves to a new perspective, being intentional about that because it's important in our present and into our future. Holding new ground, holding our center, being ready to take action if we need to. Both of these cards, I mean, he has his shield, he has his sword. They're ready to take action if necessary. But once again, there's sort of this stillness, this capacity to be more this idea of ready to be ready. This just being in the space, being here now, listening to the cues, because that will take us in the direction that we need to go in and help us to make the right decision at the right time. Our foundation card for this week is the card of completion. The Four of Wands. Fours are very stable. It's a square. We have the masculine and the feminine standing back to back, mutually supporting each other under this tree of life. And we have lots of beautiful, even energy. So the foundation card, again, we're coming back to this idea of holding space, of there being stability, of there being groundedness, of there being sort of right timing that comes out of being whole, of being again, just grounded and centered. So as I said, the masculine and the feminine back to back, not adversarial, but mutually supportive. So this wholeness within ourselves, being able to hold that space in the world from our inner wholeness, holding wholeness for the rest of the world from that place. This is important. This foundation of groundedness, of wholeness. Boy, I'm repeating myself a lot today. I think you get the gist of it though. So, new perspectives, being ready and willing to receive information that will help us to respond to what's happening in our experience, but not randomly taking action. being willing to wait, being willing to be centered, being willing to be grounded and hold space, a centered space, so that we know what to do when the time is right, rather than randomly taking action. Swinging that sword wildly and hoping you hit something is not a very good strategy. The near future, this energy of courage, of standing in love and holding the space of who we are in the face of life and being willing to be there. And from that place, offering our gifts and our abilities and our wisdom. As I said, this person is not defending themselves. It's not courage in the sense that you have to, pick up your sword and shield and get out there and fight. It's more, you're ready to hold whatever space you need to hold. You have the tools, but it's more about facing life, facing what is in front of you and holding ground from a place of love, always from the place of love. If we can remember that, what would love do? Asking ourselves in this moment, what would love do? It can be incredibly helpful for navigating, where we're standing right now in our time. And then, of course, the foundation card. What do we need to know this week? Why are we having the reading this week? And it's this energy of groundedness, of centeredness, of balance, of stability, of coming from life from as grounded a perspective as we can right now. Again, these are wands. It's creativity, inspiration, and passion, but this is this energy of fire coming from a more grounded, intentional, and wise perspective. Okay, and with that, let's move on to the card to grow on. So it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot to do this week. It's more how we're choosing to be resilient, to be courageous, to be present and centered and grounded, ready to do what happens next. It's, with Mercury retrograde, often it isn't a time to go rushing off heedlessly and making decisions and just randomly doing stuff. Mercury retrograde encourages us to be very intentional and present and take care of the stuff that needs to be taken care of before taking on anything new, revisiting. So again, it's not really a big week of action. It looks like it's more a week of holding space and of beingness. So what is it that we most need to know, Creator? What's our card to grow on here, so that as we move forward into this week, we are wise and grounded and centered, holding the perspective that we need to hold to have the best experience and the best life possible, and pull towards us that which we want, and contribute in beautiful and meaningful and uplifting and empowering ways to this amazing dance of life. And we have the Hangman again. How interesting. So yeah, really, it's up this week. Pulling ourselves to a new perspective. Really being intentional about how are we looking at things? And if we're stopped by how we're looking at things, how could we look at it differently so that we could be refreshed in our perspective and perhaps give ourselves something, a new way of looking at something, so we can take the action or have the reframe that we need to be more effective in the world. So with the card here, just draw your attention to the fact that this individual, it's not like somebody else has done this to the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man has done this to himself. He's chosen deliberately. In other decks, he's shown as hanging from a what they call the Tree of Life or a cross brace. So he's hung himself up upside down to give himself a new perspective. And the blood is rushing to his head, and as a result, he's thinking differently and seeing things differently and looking at the world from a more resilient and resourceful place. So our card to grow on this week is really tapping into this energy of how could I look at this situation in my life differently so that I can have more clarity about it, more power around it, more distinctions around it that will be helpful and for my highest and greatest good. So whatever the challenge that is you're facing this week, in your week, remembering to, when we're stopped, it's not time to take action. We need to have a fresh perspective, which can often help us then to take better action. And this is what the Hanged Man is telling us. Pause, pull yourself to a new position, take another look, and before you take action, give yourself that opportunity to reflect and consider and look at things from a different perspective, a more resilient, resourceful perspective. a positive perspective, from a place of love, from a place of what if, opening doors rather than shutting them. It's very, very easy for us when we don't know what to do, to shut down, to go into fear, to contract, to get smaller, to not hear our inner wisdom and our inner guidance. That's something that we need to be masterful about, is to be more deliberate about, how are we responding to life? And it can be challenging. I understand we all have things going on that can be really hard. But how can we adopt a different perspective on what we're experiencing so we can be more resilient, have a new perspective, and take our life in a new direction in a good way? So this one is clearly very important this week, this new perspective. Come home to yourself, take a nice deep breath, and think about your life from a new perspective. Ask yourself, how could I see this differently? What would be a more resourceful way of looking at the situation so that I can be I can have a better way of responding, or come up with a better way of being around the situation. So 2 times in a reading, kind of important. Okay. So coming back to here and now, coming back to yourself in this moment, I invite you to just take a nice deep breath. Coming home to you here and now in your beautiful body. Knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. Even if you don't know what to do just yet, the answer is coming, especially if you're open and willing to see things differently. You'll get what you need to make the best choice possible for your well-being. So just close your eyes and let's take another deep breath. Creator, this is your daughter, Titania. I want to thank you for once again the opportunity to be here, to do this weekly reading for our personal and collective highest and greatest good for this week of May 5th to the 12th, 2023. I ask that you be with all of us as we navigate the coming week. Help us to pull ourselves to new perspectives around the situations in our lives that maybe have us stopped, that maybe have us frustrated and feeling out of control or hopeless. Whatever it is that is uppermost in our lives, grant us the ability to have a new, clear perspective, grounded from love, grounded from wisdom, grounded from peace, kindness, and well-being towards ourselves and towards others and towards all life. Help us to hold space, to be ready, and to be willing to know when we don't have the answer yet, or we don't know what to do yet. Grant us the patience and the ability to give ourselves the space we need, to take the time we need, so that we can come up with the right and best solution for us at this time and take action from a completely congruent, aligned, and grounded perspective for our good and the good of anyone whose life we touch. Creator, I want to thank you for each and every individual who comes on these calls, who is on this recording, who is listening now and in the future. I ask for many blessings in their lives, that they be given much wisdom, many distinctions, many awarenesses that are helpful and inspiring to them, so that we can all live a little more powerfully into our abilities, into our future, into our capacity as creators and co-creators and generators with life, to make this world a more beautiful one for ourselves, for those around us, those we love, and for all life on this planet at this time. I want to thank all those who helped hold the space today. I want to thank you for being here. The reading is at an end, and I will look forward to seeing you again next Friday, same time, same place. Much love and light. Take good care. Bye for now.